Please help us. Please call the San Francisco Department of Public Health. And I hope someone can drop the phone number in the chat, but please call them and tell them what you are seeing on live stream today. Tell them what you saw on the live stream, that you saw filthy conditions, that you saw confinement, and ask them to do something about it. Tell them that they need to end slaughter. Ask them, please, to protect the animals, and also, of course, to protect public health. Thank you all so much for being here.
Can you also fill us in on anything that happened in the conversation if we weren't able to understand?
So Rocky spoke to the person who owned the business, and they were talking in Cantonese. So maybe Rocky can translate that for us later. But right now we're walking out, and please share this live stream.
Wow.
Cassie, if you want to take it back.
Yes, thank you so much, Christina and Rocky and Rachel, and I'm very excited to see them that won them over so quickly, because I honestly was thinking when you all talked in that there would be more negotiation or even conflict, but it seems like the compassion was winning. And thank you so much for saving that girl, and we're so excited what happens with her next and to stay updated. So many actions going on today, so please share the live stream if you haven't yet. Everyone here at the Animal Liberation Online Assembly can share it on Facebook as well. You can also share it on all your other platforms. And sharing on Twitter, let's tweet #BeAnswerAnimal, because we want to get the message out there today, a unified message that all animals deserve to live, and that we need to show them and to sicken them and to spread diseases that hurt everyone. So if you can, please share the live stream. And like Christina said, someone should be commenting here and commenting on the live stream, the phone number for the San Francisco Department of Public Health. And if you want to call that number, because it's a Saturday, you'll get a voicemail, but we want to leave as many messages as possible for them, letting them know that we have seen inside slaughterhouses right here in San Francisco, in urban areas, in the United States. There's slaughterhouses and open markets like this everywhere. And so whether you're in San Francisco Bay Area or not, please call and let them know that when this is happening right here, we need to take action and remind our government authorities that it's unacceptable to torture animals like this and to spread diseases like this, and we need them to take action to stop it. So thanks everybody for sharing and for calling. You can stay on the line if you're waiting to get to the voicemail while we jump to another location, and this time we're going to Southern California to check in with DSD San Diego. And yeah, Cam, are you there on the call? Can you hear us?
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. That was such an incredible action. I'm so grateful that you were all able to act and save that little boy or girl's chicken's life. So yes, this is Direct Action Everywhere San Diego, and today I'm with two other activists, and we are here in Orange County, California, also about to walk into a wet market and slaughterhouse that's right here in our backyard. So I'm going to go ahead and flip around the camera for y'all as we approach the back entrance of this facility. Right outside. Empty. Every single one of this cage right here is filled with animals. This is the back entrance. Are we ready?
Back entrance. We're about to see a lot of horrible things. Please share the live stream if you can, please.
Hi everyone. So we just went inside of there, and hopefully you're able to see a fair amount of of the rescue. Let me go ahead and flip the camera around really quickly. All right, so hopefully you guys had a chance to see. We're only in there for a few moments, but from what I could see, every single chicken that was there was gasping for air, and they were sitting in their own filth. The amount of waste there was really, really unbelievable. But this action today was taken in solidarity with all of the incredible activists that are taking action and unearthing abuse and systemic injustice all around the globe. I'm going to go ahead for just a brief moment and show you the face of the individual that we
Covered in filth. Covered in filth.
So she's right here.
You're good. It's okay.
Poor baby girl.
It's okay. It's okay.
But because of all of you and because of all of your support and for joining us in this rescue, she's going to live out her life in liberation and in freedom and away from harm. So we can't sit around waiting for pandemics to come back again. We have to take action. So thank you guys so much for joining, and I can't wait to see all of the other actions. If you guys want to follow the story of her and her healing, please follow Direct Action Everywhere. Please follow Direct Action Everywhere San Diego, and we're going to go ahead and follow her story, post photos of her rescue. Thank you all so much, and I really can't wait to see all of the other amazing lives that are saved. Back to you, Cassie.
Thank you so much, Cameron. It's incredible to see so many activists walking boldly inside these places of violence and just walking out with animals in their arms. I know we don't know what can happen in these situations, but you all being with that kind of action is so inspiring, and it just changed someone's life in what, a minute and a half right there. We just saw someone's life completely change. And for all the other individuals we saw inside, it was a little bit choppy, but we saw different bits and pieces of your action. We did see the rescue, and we did see those chickens crowded on top of each other inside of those cages. Nobody should be forced into a cage like that in the size of their body around so many others. That's a torturous life. That's how diseases spread. That's the industry that we're trying to cancel. So if you can, please share this live stream. Use #CancelAnimalAg. Use it on Twitter, use it on social media, on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere that you can. And follow DXC San Diego, like Cam said. Thank you so much. And we have so many more actions, so I'm getting really excited. Now we're actually gonna jump though, all the way to another state potentially, because we do have some folks in Iowa right now. As you know, Matt is in Iowa in a jail right now. And there's some possibility that we might be able to hear from him, but we also have someone else in Iowa, Scotty, who's on the call right now. And Scotty, I would love to bring you on to tell people a little bit more about what just happened and what the situation is in Iowa. But Wayne might be on the phone with Matt right now. Is that true? Go for it.
We have actually Matt on the line. He's calling me from a jail cell in Iowa. So Matt, I'm just going to give it to you. But Matt, you didn't get to see this. We just saw a breathtaking rescue of a baby bird who was gasping for air. And I know all of us have been inspired by your sacrifice over the last couple of days. How are you doing in jail right now, Matt?
Hey, I'm doing okay. I'm just kind of tired and bored, and sort of my brain is catching up with everything. But I'm also just very gratified at the opportunity that I think we have in front of us. I mean, with the ALOA happening right now, and with the investigation that we just came out with, and with the support that everybody has shown, I think we have just this, horrible / very useful opportunity right in front of us with all the COVID fallout, and with all the horrible things that are happening to animals and the horrible things that are happening to workers, just to shine a light on what's happening and draw a whole lot more attention to the issue. And so here I am.
And you just announced, and I think you just decided this morning when they arrested you at 5 a.m. and you went into jail, you decided you're going on hunger strike. Can you tell us a little bit about that? You haven't eaten at all today, and you're planning to not eat for, I guess, the foreseeable future. Can you tell us why and what's driving this decision?
Yep. So it's due to the things that are happening to animals and the government's complicity in it. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds is close personal friends with the owners of Iowa Select Farms, and she's a beneficiary of hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign contributions from them. And so we're calling on her to reverse course and to serve the interests of the rest of us, of the non-humans and the humans alike, instead of just, people like Jeff Hansen in this world who are worth hundreds of millions of dollars at the top, who couldn't care less about animals being roasted alive and workers being forced to do that. And so, taking the action we take is in the interest of applying pressure and dramatizing the issue and gaining exposure, and being arrested and a hunger strike is really just amping it up to the next level, and willfully accepting that sacrifice, that personal risk. Obviously, there are so many people involved in this project and so many other aspects of DXC's work that are putting their freedom and their comfort on the line. And so I think this is just a great opportunity to do so. And for anybody out there, whether it's Kim Reynolds or Steve King or Donald Trump or anybody that wants to jump in on the side and defend the pig roasters, that's a pretty advantageous matchup for us to be in, I guess.
I think a lot of folks have probably heard about what you're mentioning when you say roasting pigs alive or boiling pigs alive. Can you just briefly describe what you found that is leading you to do this hunger strike? What did you find in these Iowa pig farms over the course of the last few weeks?
Yeah, so it's this quote-unquote euthanasia method called ventilation shutdown. They close up the vents of the facility. They put insulation over the vents to trap the heat in. Then they pack the place full of pigs, and they crank up the heat. The heat itself will get up to in the neighborhood of 120, but then with the addition of steam into the facility and all the increasing body heat, it goes up even well beyond that. And these animals are, you said you want to use the word roasted, or you whether want to say they're like steamed, boiled, alive, whatever it is. It's an absolute horror show, and the audio alone that we released, if people want to check out the video from The Intercept, it really says it all.
And how are you feeling personally? You're in an orange jumpsuit in a jail, I think for the first time in your life, and certainly for the first time for animals. Are you holding up okay? And what is the environment you're in right now? You're in a cell by yourself?
Yeah, I'm in a concrete cell. I'm wondering how bad the echo is on this phone call.
We can hear you, don't worry.
Okay, good. And there's the bed, there's a flimsy little pad, so I guess it's not the exact same as sitting on a concrete bed, but slightly better. But no blanket, lights on, so it's not the best, but I'll get some push-ups in, some meditation, that kind of thing.
And you've got, a felony charge up to 5 years in prison is the maximum sentence they're looking at right now? Is that correct?
Right, yeah, that's with the felony, and then there's 3 misdemeanor trespass charge, and then there's another misdemeanor which is what's like a wiretapping charge, which is I don't know, that's not much I see, but it would be allegedly to using hidden cameras.
Yeah. It's so interesting that the government has been so intent on stopping you from telling the public the truth. They've criminalized the mere act of recording things they don't want to be heard and showing things they don't want to be seen, even if it violates the First Amendment. But we're going to probably move on shortly, but do you have any last requests of everyone at Aloha? I know all of us have been watching this. We were blown away by the article by Glenn Greenwald. I've seen many people, even outside of DXC, say this is the most powerful investigation they've seen in their life. What can we do for you right now, Matt?
Oh, man. Well, I appreciate that. I think, there's probably not a lot people could really do for me personally, but if they wanted to, people got me taken care of with phone cards, which is really nice that I can have that. But I think what you can do for me is what you can do for our mission. And so taking action, whatever sort of action plans are drawn up, I'm a little bit out of the loop on stuff right now, but whatever we can do to elevate this whole situation, and obviously people are doing that today with Aloha, and I know that some of the folks on SFA are working on some actions in a campaign going into next week. So I say, stick to it.
Well, stay safe, my friend. We're all with you. We're all fighting for you, and we absolutely are going to contribute for your phone cards, for your legal defense, whatever else you need. We've got your back. But thank you so much, Matt. And I'll keep Matt in the line, so he's going to keep listening in to Loa because he's obviously bored in a jail cell by himself. But I'll pass it back to Cassie now, who can talk to maybe Scotty a bit as well.
Thank you so much, Wayne and Matt. We miss you. You can't see the chat, but there's so many comments of support. Everyone's going to be stepping up their action because of this. I know. I'm trying not to let you down with the press work on the outside, so we can elevate this story as much as possible. And Scotty, are you here as well to share what happened this morning? What happened? Oh, you might be muted. Okay. Try talking now. Perfect.
Okay, so yeah, we've been working on this investigation for a few weeks now, and we were hoping to hold off the arrest until like mid next week. And 5 a.m. this morning, the sheriffs showed up and arrested him, and it's just so messed up. And then I actually just got word from the whistleblower, and it seems like they're going to be continuing the BSD. So despite all of this coming out, we got front page of the Des Moines Register. Group says producer roasted pigs alive. And then we got Glenn's great article on The Intercept. Despite all this coming out, they're not even going to stop. So that's pretty frustrating. So we're going to see what we can do about that possibly.
Thanks for sharing that, Scotty. I know one way people can help is to tweet at Kim Reynolds, who's the governor of Iowa, because she's condoning this right now. The entire industry and government in Iowa are saying this is acceptable. Industry that's said it's okay, and we need to keep the pressure up. Is there anything else we can do to help, or what do you think folks can do right now?
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. We were planning on possibly doing something with Kim Reynolds. So yeah, anything that can possibly like persuade them to do something about this, because ISF doesn't really care right now. They're just doing whatever they want to do. They don't care about negative attention. So I think we need extra help to help stop them.
Well, one great thing that's come out of this is a lot of different animal rights groups that we've reached out to have said they're excited to see this getting coverage, and they want to help expose it and put pressure on Kim Reynolds. So we're reaching out to people in our mailing list and to all of you, and we need help getting this message out there. So if you can, open up Twitter and tweet at Kim Reynolds, the governor of Iowa. Her Twitter is just at Kim Reynolds IA, and tell her that this is unacceptable and she needs to start investigating the violence of this industry, both against workers who are getting sick in the first place that's causing the slaughterhouse shutdowns and the supply chain delays that are causing the VSD and the mass killing methods that Matt and team documented, and of course the animals who we've seen suffering and we've heard their screams now because of this hidden camera footage. So please, if you can, tweet at Kim Reynolds and demand an investigation into this cruelty, demand a better response than just letting this happen because some vets paid by the industry said that it's acceptable. That is not okay. So thank you, Scotty, and thank you, Matt, and everyone for doing that. You can go to Twitter, you can tweet at Kim Reynolds IA, and you can obviously go to DXC's Facebook page and you can follow the story there and see the investigation and the footage that landed Matt in jail for exposing, and you can share it and help it reach more people and do exactly what the industry doesn't want us to do right now, because they are at their weakest point and they are scared. They're feeling threatened. That's why Matt found his photo inside this facility, because they know that whistleblowers and investigators are out there. And even though that photo of Matt warned the employees not to let him in the farm, what actually happened is a whistleblower employee on the inside reached out to DXC and reached out to Matt and worked with him and the team to make this story happen. So we need more exposure, because there's more employee whistleblowers just like them who see our open rescues, see our investigations, see our loving nonviolent community, and they see that that's the side they want to be on. So if you can, please take action on Twitter. And another thing you can do is sign up to take action in person. We're asking folks who can to take small, socially distant, in-person actions coordinated together to blow up this story more. And if you want to sign up to have an action in your area and participate in those coordinated actions, you can sign up at this link, dxe.io/action. Really simple. If someone can comment that in the chat as well, that's the link where you can go let us know that you want to be part of the coordinated follow-up actions that we're going to be taking, that Matt mentioned we're doing here in the Bay Area, but we want them happening everywhere, because Iowa Select Farms, the largest, quote, pork producer in Iowa, is a supplier of Tyson and of JBS and of these major companies that are sold at major supermarket chains. And so we all have the ability to get out there and demand that that cruelty is not sold at these stores. So we can go to the stores ourselves and take action and continue to generate attention around this and pressure on Kim Reynolds and on the industry, which is really shaking right now. So please take action. Yeah, you can look up other ways to reach Kim Reynolds, but I think Twitter is a great place because we can reach journalists. And so they can see this story, they can see Glenn's piece in The Intercept and all over Iowa. Thanks for showing us the newspaper, Scotty. That's so cool to see. And we can get more and more attention and change the world and cancel animal ag. If you want to retweet something at her, you can retweet the article, or you can also share the Cancel Animal Ag Policy memo that we have, which is at dxe.io/CAA policy. But most importantly, use hashtag Cancel Animal Ag and make our message really loud and really clear. And thanks so much, everybody. I think, is that all? Is there anything else you want to say, Scotty? All right, well, we have so many more places to go today and so many people who are taking action, who are inspired by your work. And now we're going to actually jump to another state from Iowa. We are going to St. Louis. And the DXE St. Louis team has asked that we show a short video to provide a little bit of backstory before they jump on with their own action and ask for our help. So let's pull up St. Louis's video here, and hopefully people will be able to see that on the screen. Perfect. Sasha, you're going to be unmuted, so you can press.
Cool. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, thanks so much, Cassie. So it all started with this article that we saw last week, totally focused on the farmer and his having to, mass kill, plant closure. It's frozen for me. Okay, there we go. Okay. So it all started with this article. This is our dude, Phil Borgic. This is the article just citing his quotes, heartbreaking, sad reality. We have to abort expected piglets. We're burying them above ground. Dead piles, blah, blah, blah. Just, again, more quotes of we're doing everything we can to avoid, quote, euthanizing these pigs. So went to his office, talked to him, and basically he politely but firmly slammed the door in our face, and he will not release any pigs to us. So Borgic Farms in Raymond, Illinois is basically the dead pond. Out of the bottom right corner, you can see a dead individual thrown like a piece of trash. Just, and this pig has not even started to decompose yet. Here are just more piles upon piles, bodies, bones, just breathtaking shots here. It just looks like a mass graveyard. And there's hooves everywhere. And then coming up soon is a full-on skull of what used to be an individual right here, and then we just have.
So that video is just some backstory, and Sasha's going to be there in person to describe what's going on. And I know since she's out and about, it's not the best audio, but you can follow what's happening and obviously help support this action as well. And if you didn't hear what's happening, this is a farm that is trying to get rid of their pigs desperately because they can't send them to slaughter. And some of them are just dying and being discarded, but other animals they're trying to sell. And so Sasha and her team in St. Louis are heading to that farm to, again, try to negotiate the release of an animal there. Sasha, are you still there? Maybe if you start talking, we'll be able to see where you're at on the screen here.
Why is Almir?
Huh, well, I don't see
I can
Sasha
do
on here yet, so, oh,
Okay.
there you are, you're just a little sideways.
A little bit.
Well, all sideways, but perfect, thanks. All right, what's happening there?
Okay, so we are pulling up on the farm right now, and we are just going to ask him again with all of you to show that, it's not just one or two women. It is 300, almost 400 people who are asking, pull up right here, and then just stop right here, who are asking for him to spare a life. He said in his article that he was willing to do, right here's fine, willing to do everything in his power to avoid having to kill these pigs. So we're going to straight up ask him again to spare a life with us today, for us today. So I'm here with Christina. We are both organizers for Direct Action Everywhere St. Louis chapter. We are in Nokomis, Illinois right now, which is just an hour away from St. Louis. And we are walking up to the house on the property of the farm to ask if Phil Borgic will spare a life today. Hello? It smells terrible, by the way.
The smell is literally indescribable. It like burns the back of your throat.
Feel free if you want to talk, give some background about the article.
So this all started with the article. I don't know if KMOV reached out to him or he reached out to KMOV, but he did an article with KMOV, which is a local news station here.
Hello.
And I'm not sure if anybody's. And he basically was going on and pleading and asking for help. They had to use private sellers. Everybody. He said he was selling pigs for $20 a piece, and then it costs $140 to raise them. So he even stated in his own words in the article that he didn't care if he had to lose money as long as he could save some of his pigs. Which is why we came here yesterday in person. We called a couple times first, and he didn't return our calls. So we came to his office yesterday, and we spoke with him in person. And we asked him if he would be willing to spare a couple of lives.
Okay, we should just go around back to where we saw the dead individual, and then we can have everyone call the office, and we'll post that number. But let's go back to the car. It's just tell him it doesn't appear like anyone's home.
It doesn't seem like anybody's home here. We just knocked on the door for a few minutes. But we're going to take you guys around the back of the farm and show you where we found the pig yesterday. The individual who had not even started decomposing yet. I suspect that he or she had been thrown out there less than an hour or so before we stopped by the farm. And then, of course, as I told you, or as she said before, we found piles and piles of bones. Here's an ear tag. There's an ear tag, bones. We took a couple bones, but you could see everything. You could see it all just from the street. We did some frontline surveillance, and I mean every piece of information that you would want was right there. There's a dumpster right near this house, and then the piles of bodies. And Illinois just recently passed a law because of all of this is happening with the coronavirus and the slaughtering plants being closed down due to the employees being infected. So they actually recently passed a law stating that the farmers in Illinois could bury. I'm going to show you guys now. They could bury the corpses above land, and they just covered over them with dirt. And this is where we found there was a dead individual right here yesterday. You saw that on the video. And every single one of those stalls is just massive. And it's massive, and it's covered to the top with soil. And that's where we found all of the bones. And then here are the farms right beside it with all 17,000 pigs. So we're gonna go up here now.
So where's
The pig is gone. The pig was right here yesterday. And I'm gonna go around this way so you guys can see, because you can't see from that side. I'm gonna go show you this way.
we're gonna post the number for you guys because we came out here to ask him if we could take, look, bones everywhere. This has teeth in it still. So here's the bones up close. You can see for yourself. There's a skull right there. That's a skull. Bones. And we asked him if he could spare a life, which obviously he could have because there was a dead pig here yesterday. He could have easily given us one of those pigs. These are, I mean, filled to the top. It's all bones. Bones mixed in. There are rotting corpses here, right here. Rotting. That still has skin on it. It's a skull. It still has skin. And then here are the bones. There was an ear tag here yesterday. This looks like maybe a vertebra. And then here's the skull. So, I mean, you're seeing this. This is shot with Sasha's iPhone, real time. This is what these farms are doing. They're burying the pigs now above ground. These things still have hair on them, these bones. And he said that this was back to business as normal. So this is business as usual for Borgic Farms in Illinois. I'm gonna head back to the car now. But this is business as usual, and he would not allow us to even save one life today or yesterday. So we are going to leave his phone number for you guys so that you can call him and ask him. Okay, there's even a bone right here on the ground, right by the road.
So let's post that number and have everyone just start calling.
Yeah, we're gonna post the number for Phil so you guys can call him and ask him to please spare a life today. And we will be planning to launch a full-scale investigation. We need to connect this right now. The pandemic is going on right now. So
Thank you so much, Sasha and Christina. Thank you for giving us that narration and the backstory and explaining what's going on and trying to save a life. And they're going to post that link. And if you can call that phone number, you can keep going. As we keep going, you can call them. They went there yesterday. They did not get an animal.
right now is the time. We just
So we probably are going to move along, Sasha and Christina, because we still have so many more cities participating. But if you get, if you're able to talk to someone, if someone confronts you, or if there's an update, let us know because we are going to be here for a while and we can jump back to you. So thank you for trying to save a life there and keep us updated. And now we are going to jump to another country. We're going to Edmonton, Canada, and oh, whoops, wrong country. I'm out of order. We're actually going to go to Mexico. So traveling the world today. All right. So before we go to Mexico City, we have a video as well to show a little bit about what their action was in Mexico City at an animal market. And we're going to pull that up here and then we'll have people jump on to explain what's happening. Yep. So that was a rescue that Mexico City pulled off in advance of this action, and Michelle is here to tell us a little bit about what was happening in that video. And Michelle, can you hear us? Hey.
Oh yeah, hi everyone. So bad that you couldn't hear like the sound in the video because earlier this morning, Mexico City team just went to rescue this individual, this beautiful rooster called Damiano. He was rescued from one of the biggest, actually it's the biggest market in the world that supplies both corpses and byproducts of animals as also like groceries. So it's the biggest in the world that has all these halls and halls dedicated to sell products, and almost 6,000 people visit this market every day. So this market has been shut down and reopened several times during this pandemic. Also, there's a lot of workers that have died because of coronavirus, and a lot of people that have gone infected. This market is located in like the second district in Mexico that has more cases of coronavirus. So also like this whole facility has like an independent market that sells almost 500 species of aquatic animals, and yeah, so this same market, this like independent zone is also like the second biggest in the world that distributes aquatic animals, just after Japan. So imagine like this place is huge. It's like a place where like the next pandemic could come, because all of the corpses and also some alive animals that arrive here come from all the world, China and Asia, from the oceans, from all over the world. So we have been investigating this place since February alongside with CDMX Animal Safe. 2 individuals have been rescued from here, and Damiano is the third one. So this market, as you know, is gigantic and has a lot of waste zones. So in one of those waste zones, we found Damiano. He was alongside with other animals that are exploited for food, but also for breeding. And there were like turkeys, ducks, roosters, hens, and also puppies and adult dogs, all chained, all in cages. Actually, Damiano was just covered by a tiny box, so he could never put his like whole body like in a natural posture. I want to show you him because he's a little bit hiding. Of course, he's scared of humans. And here you can see this beautiful boy. Also, the veterinary this morning told us that he is severely malnourished. He has a lot of mucus, and also his feet has like porodermatitis. I don't know if I pronounce it well, but it's a very common symptom that hens or roosters have, because of being all crumpled in the same spaces, and because of not having like soil and grass under their feet, they start to develop these huge like hard rocks in their feet. So he needs to rehabilitate a lot, and when he's ready after his quarantine, because as you know, these animals are sick. They come from these filthy factory farms, but also like small scale or family scale or breeders. Here also in Mexico City are places that are filthy. They are full of diseased and rotting animals that are all, all crumpled with other thousands of hundreds of individuals. So as you know, we knew that this place has these waste zones, and we knew that we could find some animals that maybe were alive. So we went and we find Damiano, and yeah, like I think that's the whole update. I will ask you if you could please share this live stream and also go and follow DXC Mexico City. If you haven't done it already, please follow us and support us, because we have been doing a lot of investigations in live and wet markets here in Mexico City, because as you heard, we have one of like the biggest markets in the whole world that distributes and traffics tons of illegal well, like it's illegal to distribute and traffic some species. Others are completely legal, but some of the markets that we have investigated, they are bringing animals that comes from China and all over the world. And these places have not been, they are like partially shut down, but people are still selling these animals in one of these markets called Mercado de Sonora, which we have like a huge campaign right now because we want to shut this place because of all the cruelty and torture that goes inside of these places. We want to shut it down. We want animals to stop being sold like if they were mere products, because they are all crumpled in cages. And people that goes to these markets, they come and buy these animals to bring them into their homes and torture them for rituals, for like black magic or like some religious beliefs. So these people just come from whatever animal they want. They could find tigers, chimpanzees, some of different birds, rabbits, also puppies of cats and dogs, because here in Mexico, not even dogs and cats have respect. They go through a lot of what other species of animals go through in factory farms, but they go through in other places. So please, support our pages. You can find more about our investigations and about some other individuals that we have rescued. And you also are going to be hearing more about Damiano, because we are very, very excited that for him to start a new chapter and to be free and to be the individual and have a life that he deserves. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I hope everyone will support and follow DXC Mexico City on social media. And if you didn't catch that, Damiano was found in the garbage based on a tip that there were live animals in the trash at this giant market. So hopefully, you're inspired and learning lots of ways that we can take action at the front lines, whether it's just walking inside and walking out with someone, or looking in the dumpster area and finding living animals who need care and can continue to live thriving lives with love and freedom. So there's so much we can do, and we'll share with you at the end of this event all the other ways that you can get involved. But be a part of it right now and share. Someone mentioned they're showing their whole family. That is great. We need more people to see what is possible for animals and to envision a world where we've canceled animal agriculture. And so now we're going to jump to another country, go to Canada, and check in with Max, who is calling in from Edmonton, taking action in a different kind of way. But first, we're going to show a video that he took earlier this morning outside of a major facility that's tied up with COVID-19, and we're going to see the animals who are being trucked there. And this is a pretty graphic video, actually. If you don't want to see it, you don't need to watch, but this is a transport truck to slaughterhouse where you're seeing cows being trucked in and seeing someone who has a very severe injury. I'm not a medical expert to diagnose whether that's a prolapse or some kind of other injury, but it's like nothing that I've ever seen before, and that's probably true for many of you. And we have another clip sent by Max this morning from the same facility, less graphic though, of other animals being trucked into the facility to show you the individuals who are losing their lives there right now, actually, today. and to remember those individuals as well as the ones who we're able to rescue, because there's so many more who need our help. So before we jump to Max, we do have one more video. So those were the videos that were sent just this morning, and now we're gonna jump in person to this facility and hear from Max. Max, are you on the call right now? Hey there, I think you might be on mute.
Hi, everybody. So I'm coming to you from the province of Alberta in Canada, and today we're holding a vigil to bear witness and mourn the lives of the forgotten victims in this world, the animals. And we're also here to stand in solidarity with the workers. We are at the Cargill meat processing plant. That is the public narrative, and that is the sugar-coated word for what this facility actually is. In reality, what it is an industrial factory of slaughter. And I'd like to give some folks a little bit of background information about the situation during the COVID pandemic and how it's also affecting workers. Animal production, animal slaughter is still happening during this period. So this Cargill facility is linked to the single largest outbreak of COVID-19 cases in North America. There have been about 1,000 positive COVID tested cases linked to this plant. And that represents, that represents about 40% of the workforce here. And that triggered a shutdown of this factory in late April. And they were given a 2-week quarantine. But because we know Cargill, they are a powerful and rich corporation, they lobby the government. They put pressure on our agricultural minister, our labor minister, and our health medical officer, who gave Cargill the go-ahead to reopen in early May, despite the opposition from workers, their fears. The workers have complained about lack of PPE. They're scared, and workers in this slaughter plant, just like many slaughter plants around the world, they are temporary foreign workers, lured from other countries. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. They're subject to trauma, so much violence on the job. Dangers, physical dangers, PTSD, alcoholism, it's all linked. Nobody should have to earn a living working in these violent facilities where they hang animals upside down and slit their throats, and they're subject to diseases. They have to handle rotten meat, animal organs like you saw in the video. And this is not right. Our government is in bed with these animal egg business. And our activists here, they're working with the union, with the Cargill union to try to improve conditions for the workers as well. So hopefully that is a fight we can make. But our government has deemed Cargill an essential service. And we know meat is not essential. It is the opposite of essential. It is destroying life on this earth. It is wreaking havoc on our environment. It is killing billions and billions of animals, and it's having a human health toll as well. These pandemics, they're linked to animal agriculture. We've seen swine flu, avian flu, SARS, MERS. We need to cancel animal egg because this is the root cause of all the suffering that's going on in the world right now. There's salmonella, listeria in these factories. And we feel so awful for these workers who have to endure these working conditions. Nobody should have to go through this. Our politicians, they had the audacity to give the green light and assure the workers from a remote phone call. They've never inspected this facility, but they assured the workers that it was safe. And there's a push by the union right now for an independent investigation that has never been conducted. And in the video that you saw, I believe what we saw, that was filmed by our activists in front of Cargill earlier. I believe what we saw was a prolapse. A prolapse is when someone's organs fall out of their rectum or their vagina. And I believe the cause of prolapses is due to birthing difficulties. And we know in the industry, cows are raped, artificially inseminated, and force impregnated over and over again to produce more and more cows for slaughter. We are here to try and stop this atrocity and expose this to the world. And we need to sound the alarm to our government, to our officials. They are sellouts. Our governments are in bed with animal agribusiness. And instead of prosecuting animal agribusiness, they are prosecuting whistleblowers like us for simply taking footage, taking photos of animal abuse. And
Thank you
often
so much,
folks think
Max.
that in Canada,
Thank you so much. You said it so well. Is there any last call to action or way people can help before we jump to another location?
yes, I would like to invite people to check out Rose's Law Canada, the Facebook page. Can somebody put that in the link, please? Because all across Canada, activists have been taking action. We've seen king cole ducks in Toronto, where dozens of individuals have been rescued, and also Le Progreg in Quebec. So check out our work in Canada, please, at Rose's Law Canada.
Thank you so much, Max. And we'll hear more about Rose's Law soon. And now, if you aren't convinced already about all the from that great speech from Max, we are going to jump to Los Angeles now and check in with DXCLA. But before we pass it off to Brittany Michelson, we have a video submitted from Los Angeles as well, showing what they have going on in Los Angeles. So Brittany is here, who you just saw with Emic in that video, to tell us more about what action you all just took to support the right to rescue and canceling animal ag. Brittany, tell us more.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. So I'm Brittany Michelson with DXC Los Angeles, and I'm here with my team, Brittany Drake, Emic, and AJ, and we are at an activist's home in the backyard with 3 individuals who we rescued from a slaughterhouse in Los Angeles. And as you saw in that video, these birds were crammed. They were packed into crates on levels in the slaughter trucks. And injuries and wounds, and they couldn't move around or turn around or anything. So I'm going to turn the camera around and you can meet the individuals that we rescued from a slaughterhouse in Los Angeles. So here's my team, Brittany, Emick, and AJ.
Hi everyone. So it's Anne and Mango, and that's Eloise. Like Brittany said, they were rescued from a slaughterhouse in Los Angeles. And this is not the only slaughterhouse located in Los Angeles or Southern California. Southern California is littered with slaughterhouses and live markets. Oftentimes, these businesses are in residential neighborhoods. These birds are crammed so tightly, and the smell of ammonia and death is so pungent that these conditions are what is going to bring about another pandemic. I'd also like to mention this rescue was done in partnership with Los Angeles Animal Save. They worked with us to get these 3 chickens freed. And we would also like to mention that we have a fundraiser up right now so we can get some care for these birds. As you might be able to see, Diane, you can't really see, but one of her eyes is swollen and she keeps it shut a lot of the time. It's definitely bothering her. And we just also want to, extend the immense gratitude we have for everyone who's on this call, and for Matt Johnson, who's in jail right now, for doing an incredible investigation. Because like the banner behind us says, it is definitely time to cancel Animal Ag, because if we continue with the status we're going to continue to have mass disease outbreaks within this country and the world. So I'd also like to mention Mango got their name because they love mango, so we're going to feed them right now.
That is so cute. You all are so photogenic right now.
Yeah, they had a bath last night because they were covered like in feces. They just had this stench of death around them. So we gave them a little bit of a bath last night, and now they're clean, they're happy, they're exploring their environment. We got to see them explore the grass for the very first time earlier today. That was really exciting.
And I'll say that they will be going to a micro sanctuary. We are at an activist's home right now, and these individuals will be living at a micro sanctuary where they will live happy, safe, and free for the rest of their lives. You can follow DXC Los Angeles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we are so happy to have been able to liberate these 3 beings.
Diane Gandhi Sorby. She's one of the amazing activists that inspired us to take actions. And we named one of our chickens on her name, or in her memory, Diane Gandhi Sorby.
Thank you so much, Brittany and Emick and AJ. It was so lovely to meet Diane and Mingo, and I don't remember the other name, so I'm gonna have to go follow their story on DXC see Los Angeles' social media, and hopefully all of you can too. And thank you for showing us that beautiful sunny day that you all have outside with your Cancel Animal Ag banner and reminding us what kind of world we're fighting. So we have still more places to go and more action to see. And we are going to be jumping to Madison, Wisconsin. And first, Madison, Iowa?
It's not Madison. It's fine. It's Iowa Farm Sanctuary.
It's not Madison, but it is Wisconsin.
It's not.
When you have, all right, I don't know where we're going. I clearly did not plan this event. I can't keep track of all the incredible activists in the network, but we are going to be seeing first a video from Dan and Kelly from Barn Sanctuary, and then hearing from someone who is very involved with that rescue. So we're going to pull up a rescue video here for you all and get to see even more liberation in action.
And this might take a second because I want to get. Can you mute? Let's see. Let us know in the chat if audio is working. No. Dang it. Okay, audio really matters on this one, so let's.
If you haven't done any of the calls to action yet, if you still have any phone calls to make or social media platforms to share on, now is the perfect time. Because we have a moment here and we need as much elevation of these rescue stories and the Cancel Animal Ag message as possible. We're going to keep taking more action, keep escalating the numbers of people involved and the liberation and the number of animals rescued. So maybe we can just jump first to Katie from Iowa Farm Sanctuary. Katie, are you here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Can you tell us about the rescue?
Sure. So I am Katie Valentine. I am the animal care coordinator with Iowa Farm Sanctuary. I was on scene. That footage that we kind of showed earlier, hopefully it gets working better. But I was on scene for that chicken rescue along with Iowa Farm Sanctuary's co-founder, Jared Camp. And we joined forces with Dan and Kelly from Barn Sanctuary, and we met on scene. So right now I am in our chicken coop at Iowa Farm Sanctuary with 6 of the hens that we kept from this rescue. So this rescue, it was a CAFO operation of massive egg-laying facility in W.O.W, Iowa, which is about a 3-hour drive from Iowa Farm Sanctuary, which is in Oxford. And Iowa Farm Sanctuary was notified about this CAFO. The farmer was actually purging his entire flock. And he had about 140,000 individuals there at this concentrated animal feeding operation.
Katie, would you want us to play the video and you could narrate over the video?
Sure, I could do that, yeah.
That'd be great because it's just an audio issue, so we can pull it up and start.
Okay, okay, let's do that.
All right, you're good.
Okay, so what you see here is these birds were literally being disposed of like trash. They were gassing them by the thousands right in front of our eyes, dumping them in piles, just really mistreating the individuals that they are. Here is a look inside of the CAFO. It was very dark. The smell was unbelievably overwhelming. It was nothing I'd ever experienced before. Is were packed full with 10 birds per, at least one dead hen in almost every cage. So it was really traumatic to be there and to see these conditions these individuals were living in. I had never seen anything like this. It was really, really traumatizing. But we, despite these conditions, we worked as quickly and safely as we could to load individuals into kennels and get them loaded up into our trailers to start their new lives in sanctuaries. So yeah, as you can see, these cages were stacked pretty high. There are 3 levels, and the top level was, I mean, it was hard to reach. So we were just pulling as many individuals as we had homes for at the time. And so Iowa Farm Sanctuary ended up pulling a total of 39 individuals, and most came to live at Iowa Farm Sanctuary briefly before moving on to their new homes. And then we kept a few too to live out at Iowa Farm Sanctuary. So here you can see the hallways extremely narrow. I mean, only one person could fit. There were individuals escaping out of their cages, running. At the other end of this CAFO were the employees working to systematically gas these individuals as quickly as possible. So we were kind of, these girls were just living in atrocious conditions. It was really, really hard to see. And there was tens of thousands of lives just suffering right in front of us.
Thank you so much for sharing about that rescue, Katie. And is there any way that people can support and maybe make it possible for more future rescues like this to happen when we're in the middle of a pandemic and there's so many animals who need placement?
Yeah, so can you repeat that question one more time? I think I cut out.
Anything anyone can do to help?
So Iowa Farm Sanctuary has found homes for all the birds we needed to. So as I said, we have the 6 that are living out their lives with us. And that rescue operation has since ended. I think the farmer actually, unfortunately, chose to keep some of his birds. So, but this is not the only CAFO that, this happens so frequently, and there's always opportunities to help. We were notified about this particular rescue from a supporter of ours. She contacted Iowa Farm Sanctuary, actually saw a post on social media, which brought our attention. And within 2 days, our team hit the road and were on scene with kennels, ready to save as many lives as we could. So from there, our co-founder, Sean Camp, notified other sanctuaries across the country, ranging from states all over, Iowa, Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio, Colorado, Michigan, California. So it was truly a collaborative effort. It took so many hands on deck, and we couldn't do this without all the help. So social media is a great tool. We learn a lot. We learn about a lot of rescues via social media. So when another situation like this arises, we could always use transporters, like between sanctuaries, getting them to and from their new homes, and just people on scene, like pulling birds out. That's the most important thing. That's our greatest focus.
It's so great to see so many people uniting to come together in moments like this for both that rescue and for the actions that we're taking today. So thank you for sharing, and just want to remind people that we can do so much when we do come together. And thank you for being here and making this possible and keeping more actions happening, getting involved. There's so much we can do, especially in a moment like this when the animal agriculture industry is under increased pressure and increased scrutiny from the public. And we can put the stories of the animals and the animals' perspective out there for people to see when they're thinking about public health, when they're thinking about wet markets, when they're thinking about these issues already, to elevate the animals' perspective. So thanks for joining us, Katie. And now we are going to jump yet again and back to California. We have some activists in Stockton, California, who recently took action in another rescue. And we're going to see a video now of their negotiation efforts to save lives and to bring this message for the animal's perspective right in Stockton. That is such a beautiful video. Thank you so much, Alicia, and all the activists in Stockton who took action to rescue those 9 individuals and shared that beautiful video and story with all of us. And if you want to share it with more people, it's all in the live stream. It's all being uploaded on Facebook, so you can share that live stream with everyone and show them that people around the world are taking action for animals. And we actually have Alicia on the call today to tell us a little bit about how that rescue was possible and what you all just did. Alicia, can you hear us? You're really quiet.
Hi, we can hear you. Hello?
We can hear you. You're just quiet, though.
Okay, I can speak up. Yeah, we're here. I don't know if you guys can see the 9 chickens behind us. We were really excited. It was myself, Matthew Dembski, and Christina. We all were able to pull this rescue off. We wanted to go to Stockton to see the conditions. The workers working there work really close together, so they're not really able to social distance. Luckily, some of them were wearing masks, but then also, I don't know if you all noticed in the video, but there's like feces all over the floor, and right, the slaughterhouse is right next to a public street, and right across the street is a houseless encampment, and there's just feces and debris and stuff just blowing everywhere, and it's just, you know, it really could be
location of the next outbreak. You know, E. coli is really contagious from feces, and like I said, there's the houseless people living across the street, and yeah, it's just really bad, and we just wanted to check out what it was like now that COVID's going on. Same thing, same type working conditions, but you know, luckily we have a great relationship with Min, the manager, and we were able to save these 9 girls, and they're still a little scared, but they're slowly starting to warm up to us. So, yeah. Matthew, did you want to say anything?
No.
Matthew does not want to say anything. Matthew, your mask is great, and those girls look like they all love each other. I'm so glad that you're able to rescue them all, and they can, you know, learn about this world together. Yeah, it was very exciting. Thanks so much, Alicia, Matthew, Christina, and everyone who's sharing their story with the world and inspiring us, because now we have 18 lives saved for this action, and even more we've heard about who were saved, whose stories were being shared on the call today at Iowa Sanctuary. And we're going to be jumping one more place. We have still another place to go to hear even more from incredible activists all over the world taking online coordinated action today. And now we're going to jump to Arizona, to Phoenix, to see what DXC Phoenix is up to. And they have also shared a video with us for their action. So before we bring Robert on, we're going to pull that video up for everyone.
Sorry, I'm so sleepy.
That was so beautiful. Thank you so much, Robert, for putting that video together for us and for joining the call. I would love to hear more about the individual that you all just rescued. Can you hear us? Maybe, well, we're looking for you, Robert. I saw you on here a few minutes ago, so, oh, there you are. DXC Phoenix, of course. You can't find him under Robert. I did. Can you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, she's right there.
So this is Diane. She was one of the girls that were rescued a little while ago from a what can be described no less than a hell for those folks who believe in hell. I think unfortunately that's where these precious babies are born. We've seen this. Our team has seen this all over the country. We've bore witness and seen them at the beginning and at the end of their lives. And we decided to take action and save somebody. And so this is the result here. Beautiful girl who will spend the rest of her life in sanctuary, free from suffering. Did you want to say a little bit about our girl here, Celeste?
Yeah, so
She is named after one of the wonderful activists who recently passed away, Diane Sorby, as well. I know Los Angeles also paid a wonderful tribute to her as well. And she was saved alongside with her sister Jill, who is receiving emergency medical care due to extreme hernia and superficial injuries on her legs and arms. Thankfully, Diane here is eating well and playing and being rambunctious as ever, and we're just so grateful that she was able to completely fall into our arms and truly honor her freedom.
She yawned just a minute ago, and it was the cutest thing ever. So we've actually saved 19 lives during this action, and Diane here is number 19, and I think maybe Robert, if you want to conclude us or leave us.
So Jill would have been number 20. Jill is at the veterinarian right now.
Oh wow! And Jill's her sister.
Yes. So
yeah, go ahead, Robert. I think we're gonna. That's the last place we're traveling to, and I think we want to lead us in a moment of recognition for all the individuals we weren't able to save.
Thank you. So I'd like to conclude with a what we call a dedication of merit prayer. Throughout our many lives until this moment, whatever virtue we have accomplished, including this aspiration for peace, and all that we will ever attain, this we offer for the benefit of all sentient beings, especially our dear animal friends. To our dear animal friends who did not make it out of the violent system that confine, abuse, and murder our friends, may they be reborn in whatever place is most beneficial to all sentient beings. To our dear animal friends who have realized liberation and who have been rescued, may their lives be long and full of love, free from suffering. To all the activists who have recently taken to the streets to oppose violence and injustice to all sentient beings, may we start to make a change to those systems of violence before we criticize how we protest those violence. To the allies of our dear animal friends, the activists online, behind the line, and on the front lines, especially those who have recently given up their freedom in exchange for someone else's very life. Most recently, our dear friends Matt Johnson and Billy. We thank you and dedicate all our merit to you. May suffering, exploitation, and unnecessary death be decreased for every being, while wisdom, bliss, and compassion increase in this and every future life. May we clearly and instantly perceive the plight of our dear animal friends with the urgency and seriousness they deserve, and our every action leads them to complete liberation. May we quickly attain enlightenment in order to work ceaselessly for the liberation of all sentient beings. May we all take a moment to add our own thoughts, prayers, or meditation in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert and Celeste. That gave me chills when you said that, and when you said that this is only possible because of people online and behind the line and on the front lines, and it really is such a team effort to make these sorts of actions possible. You can probably tell I was a little confused what was going on sometimes, but I think that went better than even I expected. That went as well as it could, except for some minor audio issues that we'll just blame on Lewis, and it was great. And it was so inspiring to me. I hope everyone who's watching this call feels inspired too and realizes the power that we have in our hands, whether that's with typing or with carrying animals. And we need to take action together. So we have some ways that people can get involved in some next steps and actions that we need now more than ever for you to step up and take to support Matt and other whistleblowers and to help open rescue continue in the face of this crisis, because right now the industry is weak. And the more action that we can take at this pivotal moment, the sooner we're going to achieve the end goal of revolutionary change for animals in our lifetime. So I'm going to bring on Paul Darwin-Picklesheimer, and he's going to tell us a little bit about an action that we can all get involved with in October. Are you there, Paul?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Cassie. Can folks hear me now? Okay, great. Wow, I just don't know what to say, honestly. I've been in a mix of tears and frustration and joy and so much through this call and honestly through these last few weeks of animal liberation online assembly. We all know that this is the time of year normally that we would have animal liberation conference. And because COVID-19 kind of took the world by storm, we found ourselves in a position where we had to make that tough call and cancel ALC and do this instead. And I think this has been a really interesting, educational, fresh thing. And I just want to give so much praise and thanks to Joanna and the whole team, everybody who contributed over these last weeks to make this possible. It's been amazing. And last year at ALC was the first time that we tried to do something a little bit different. Almira Tanner noted that, hey, we get together every year for DXE Forum or Animal Liberation Conference, and it's great, and we save lives, like we saved lives today and this week. But then we kind of go our separate ways, and we take home what we learned, and we apply it in different ways in our communities, and that's awesome too. But Almira said, hey, we should probably look at other groups and take a cue from some things that other groups are doing, like Movimento Cosecha, who is an immigrants' rights group, that they have a similar get-together, once a year, but they use that get-together as a platform to train each other and then to take what they learned back to their communities and then take coordinated action months later. In their case, a coordinated nationwide strike, and general strike in support of immigrants' rights. And so we thought, okay, let's do it. And we got together and we asked people from the community, like, what should we work on? And eventually the idea developed that maybe we should have a mass worldwide action with civil disobedience for something that we really want, and we asked ourselves, like, well, what do we want? And we noticed, like, we want something like total animal liberation. And then we thought to ourselves, like, well, what does total animal liberation even mean? Like, it's really hard to describe that. And you hear people saying, like, you should go vegan. Like, well, what does that mean? Like, it's a little unclear. And so we thought, well, let's go ahead and try to lay out what we really think animals need on their path to liberation. Like, what do they need most? And a lot of people weighed in and came to the conclusion that animals need a real Bill of Rights that grants everyone the same basic rights that we all deserve. And that's how Rose's Law came about. In October, or the end of September, I should say, in 2017, Direct Action Everywhere activists went to a factory farm in Sonoma County and investigated and found criminal animal cruelty. They found so many birds who couldn't even walk, who didn't have access to food or water. They documented this, and they had a tent on site to provide care to these birds, and to sanctuaries lined up and vets lined up to provide whatever they'd need. But the police showed up and they stopped everyone. They stopped the activists. They wouldn't let them exercise their rights to provide aid to the birds. And there were 10 birds who were in the arms of activists, prepared to be rescued and taken to safety. And the police would not let anyone leave. They threatened to wrestle the birds out of people's hands. And we were faced in a position we thought everyone was going to get killed. And the police did force everyone to hand over the birds that they had. They're in a position where they had to choose, do I want to be in a tug of war with someone's lives? The police assured everyone that they would get the birds to animal care services, who would then be sure that they got the care they needed. And a lot of us knew that didn't sound right. We didn't trust the police to do that. And we were unfortunately very right. The police did take the birds, who were then quote unquote euthanized. All the birds except for one. So one bird was named Rose. And a police officer, she saw Rose, and the activist said, hey, look at her. She obviously needs medical care. And can we just please get her out of here? And that police officer ended up getting in trouble for this, but she said, you know what? Yeah, just go. She phoned in the call to the perimeter police officers and said, let them through. This animal, just let them get them to the vet. And so we've named the Bill of Rights after Rose. And this is a website called roseslaw.org. And we're going to ask folks who want to do what we did last year in a similar way, like take what we learned from this ALC, come together and put those skills to use months down the road at the end of September and the beginning of October. Please go to roseslaw.org and you'll see everything that you need to know about Rose's Law. And you can see the actual steps. You can see that we value civil disobedience, reference ways that it's been really helpful for other movements throughout history. You can see a description of what the rights actually are. And they're very simple. The right to be free, not owned, or to have a guardian acting in your best interest. The right to not be exploited, abused, or killed by humans. The right to have their interests represented in court and protected by law. The right to a protected home, habitat, or ecosystem. The right to be rescued from situations of distress and exploitation. And I'm so glad that some folks got to help that happen today. And while Rose's Law is something that we think about year-round, it's also something that's at the end of our roadmap to liberation. It's where we want to get to. But people still advocate for it year-round. Just this week, a lot of people worked hard to help a committee in the city of San Francisco unanimously pass and support the right to rescue resolution. And now it's going to the actual board of supervisors. That's like the mayor and all those folks that will hopefully do what Berkeley did and say, hey, we condemn the charges of these activists and we think that the right to rescue should be supported. But we do ask folks to really focus on that last week of September. September 29th was the day that Rose was rescued. Rose is pictured here with Susanna, who walked out with her. And that whole week, or in some more concentrated areas, in one day, we will be taking nonviolent direct action, civil disobedience, to make the demand for Rose's Law, Animal Bill of Rights. And we, of course, won't always be able to get that to happen right away, but there's different things you can do. You can ask for support. You could go to a slaughterhouse and protest there and understand that they're not going to be supportive of Rose's Law at the moment. You can tell their dumpster company, hey, we're gonna protest you unless you cut ties with this slaughterhouse. Put some pressure on them. But what we'd like folks to do is go to roseslaw.org, and if you're interested in organizing or taking part, just fill out this simple form with your name, your phone number, your city, and how you might like to participate. Would you like to organize, or are you not sure? Maybe take action, maybe risk arrest. All roles are super valuable, so we just really love to see people do that. And then once you do that, we can reach out to you, get you plugged in. Every other week we have like a meetup where we talk about things with the folks around the world who organize for Rose's Law, and we'd love to see you there. But yeah, again, it's just been so amazing to see all these lives saved today. I don't know how many lives were saved. I'd love to see someone post that in the comments. And hopefully we can get some photos of everybody and have a really beautiful collage, because ALC has always been about saving lives. And this year, it's obviously not the same. But today is just really made me happy that we were able to do as much as we could. So thanks a lot. I'm going to pass it back over to Cassie now.
Thank you so much, Paul. And I hope even more people than the 300, 400 people we had on this call are participating in the Rose's Law action later this year, because we need to keep taking action. And I'm going to wrap up this live stream, and I hope that everyone has had a chance to share who's been watching it. And I want everyone who's joining us on the Animal Liberation Online Assembly to stick around, because we are going to be taking a little bit more action together today. And thank you so much for letting me share this exciting moment with you as a narrator, even though I felt genuinely confused and anxious and really excited. It's an inspiring experience to be behind the scenes, seeing what's happening on the front lines, and know that whatever happens and whoever goes to jail, there's more people who are willing to step up, and we're going to keep saving lives until we cancel animal ag. And we don't need to take actions like this anymore, because animals have the right to be safe and free and not exploited. So let's fight for Rose's Law, and I'm going to pass it over to Joanna now to take us into what's next for Aloha folks.
Thanks so much, Cassie. And yeah, I just wanted to take a moment here to really express gratitude for so many people today, everyone who was involved in all the different actions, obviously, and also just to all of you for being here. It's been really inspirational for me, and I heard from a lot of people just how kind of supported they feel by being able to show up here and see all these amazing people who care about animal liberation, just still finding ways to come together, even in the face of this kind of crisis that is happening right now. So just, let's just take a moment to appreciate each other and just see each other and thank each other for being here. Before we go, like Cassie said, we're going to do one more thing to kind of take action together. So we're going to take a photo today to document being part of this rescue. And just a heads up, I'll also be sticking around on the call afterwards for anyone who feels like they need to debrief anything from today. You can stay around at the end and we'll have an opportunity to talk. So this is an example photo of what we're going to recreate, and a lot of us have been on these Aloha calls previously and have done all kinds of social media challenges. So Cassie took this example photo before we knew how many lives were going to be saved. So you can just write the number of lives that are going to be saved, or that were saved, sorry, on your piece of paper. So grab a piece of paper, and if you brought a flower to the call as well, you can hold it up, or you can hold up a peace sign and just write on the paper how many lives were saved today. And yeah, we're just going to all take a couple minutes here to do that. And while we're taking time to do this, we're also going to hear from Jason. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen now, so hopefully everyone can see. This is the example photo that we're recreating, and we're just going to hear some music from Jason while we do this. So let's see, Jason, are you there? Hi, awesome. Thanks, Jason.
Rescued animals today. This is a song Hallelujah. It's the animal rights lyrics written by Eva Hamer. Once I heard that farms like here won't be the same after 40 years. The world has changed and shaped just like we used to. Back into the ground, our voices join into a sound of promise and a prayer for revolution. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I've been on my own before, a single voice against war, so powerless alone before I knew ya. Now that we are organized, life path to save their lives, they'll be saved, free soon. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Gordon's offer, the jail cells, and with any luck, they used to laugh, but soon they'll start to join us. Like warriors, we'll train our minds to fight with love and only find to again set the endless hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Thank you so much, Jason. So yeah, thanks to everyone for participating in the social media photo. So if you haven't yet, you can take your photo. I'll reshare the example here. So you can take this photo, and then we're asking everyone to share this on social media. I know many of you have been sharing lots of different things throughout the call, so share this photo and use the hashtag #CancelAnimalEgg. And if you want to, in the comments of your photo that you upload, maybe link people to the live stream of today's action, and just let everyone know that you were a part of this, and they can be part of this too by joining this community and taking action. So we've been gathering here for the past 6 weeks and probably 7 weeks by now, and it's just been so wonderful to come together and find a way to relate to each other even though we can't gather in person. And I know a lot of us really we get a lot from that, from being able to feel each other's energy and get together with kind of this purpose. And this assembly was kind of born in a moment of crisis when the ALC, the Animal Liberation Conference, was canceled because of the pandemic. And over the past 6 weeks, we've seen thousands of people register to be part of this online event, people who maybe wouldn't have ever been able to come to ALC. And we've just been so inspired by the dedication of everyone who's been on these calls and just this international community continuing to come together. And so we're not really sure what comes next and what that looks like, but we know that there's going to be something next, and that this online assembly is going to be something we continue to do, and a way that we continue to be able to relate to each other and grow our community internationally. So what's next is we want to hear from you. The online assembly is going to continue, but we want to know what you liked about it and what you want more of, so we can, kind of design the best thing moving forward. So fill out this survey, and also just let us know what your experience was like with this online assembly. It's really helpful to us, so we can, continue to improve. And also the ALOA recordings of the trainings and some of these assemblies as well, they're all available on YouTube now. So you can go to that link right there, dxe.io/ALOA videos, and that will take you to a YouTube playlist where you can watch the videos of the different sessions that we had. And just if you have general feedback, as always, or any comments or anything like that, you can always email. But it is really helpful if you can fill out that survey, and we'll also send that out in an email, so you can keep an eye out for that. And if your emails have been ending up in the spam folder, like if you needed to check your spam folder to get the link to these calls, it would be good to maybe try to unspam the email or add us to your contact list, and that way you'll be able to stay updated for whatever does happen next as well. So, this is a time when the world really needs political and social change. And as we've seen today, we have this amazing community who's more committed to doing this work, even in the face of a crisis. And this work needs funds to help it going. So if you want to continue to help us doing open rescue, exposing factory farms, and putting on free events like these, and providing open source resources to people around the world, join as a monthly donor. And if you're in a position to contribute, we really appreciate this support. Any donation helps, even if it's a few dollars. So if you can, we really appreciate any support that you can give. And we know that a lot of people are also experiencing financial hardship right now. And if you're unable to support us in this way, just know that you being here and being a part of this community is appreciated and loved. So if you want to become a monthly donor, you can go to dxe.io/donate. And if you want to continue being part of this community and connecting with other people, you can also sign up to join an after party near you. So we're not sure when these are going to be yet, but we have a list of cities around the world who are committed to having these after parties, and they're committed to, when they're able to get together in person again, to get back out there and connect with each other. So I know it's a lot of links that we've been saying here, and we'll send many of these around as well when we send out our survey email. So you can sign up to join an after party at this link here on the screen. And this is the final time of this episode, I guess, of the online assembly. Like I said, we are planning on continuing, but I just wanted to take another moment again to really express gratitude for all of you for joining us, everyone who took action today, and a huge thank you to all the people who are working behind the scenes to pull off these calls, all the tech support people, and Amanda, our ASL interpreter, has just done an amazing job. Folks have done Spanish translations on these calls, and we've just seen so much support. So this community is really powerful, and that's because of all of you and because of the things that you all, sign up to do. So we really appreciate all of you for being here and for stepping up, in any way that you can. So we have this tradition here that we do at the end of each call, and this will be kind of the last time that we do it, at least for now, the Unity class. Like I said, I'll stick around for a few minutes at the end of this call if people do want to debrief anything. You're welcome to hang out, and we can chat about what you experienced today. But yeah, we're going to do the Unity clap now, and this is something we borrowed from the United Farm Workers movement. And we've been using it kind of in a similar way that they did in terms of using it to feel connected. This kind of originated because members of their group spoke different languages and would often be separated by really far distances in the fields. And so at the end of the day, they would do this clap as a way to feel solidarity with each other and just remember that they're amongst all these amazing people. And so the clap starts off slow and it gets faster and faster like a heartbeat. And then it ends with one final clap. So we're gonna allow people to unmute themselves now. So if you would like to unmute yourself, you can do that, and we'll be able to hear everyone. And yeah, all right, here we go. All right, thank you all so much for being here. You can all hop off now, and if anyone does want to stick around for a little debrief, yeah, you can hang out, and we'll just give people a minute to drop off so we know who's sticking around. So for folks who are sticking around, a lot of us, when we've gone to in-person actions, and those of us who've organized know that something that is an important part of every action is just debriefing after and giving everyone involved an opportunity to just talk about what they experienced. And so we just wanted to provide that as well today, especially if people are feeling, just like they need a little bit of support, or that there's specific things, that they want to share or talk about with everyone else. So if you want to, you can chime in the chat and just let us know if there's anything specific that kind of, stuck out to you today, or anything you're feeling that you wanted to talk about. Maybe it's your first time on one of these calls, or maybe you've never been to actions in person before. And so this was kind of your first time, being involved in an action. So just let us know how you're feeling. And, we're going to have a smaller group here in a minute, so we can maybe allow people to also unmute themselves. So if there's anything that folks, feel like they want to talk about or share, just an invitation to use the chat right now to do so. So Michelle is asking, Michelle from France, how to get involved in direct actions. So yeah, perfect. I was gonna say maybe Lewis can put a link in the chat. So Lewis just put a link in the chat right there, CD survey. So that's a good way to indicate, that you're interested in learning more about that. Some folks are asking what to do with the pictures that we took. You can share those on social media. So share and use the hashtag #CancelAnimalAg. Oh no, I lost my spot in the chat. Someone wants to save the chat. Someone who has the lost connection wants it. Okay, we can save the chat. Rasa says, everything was great, but I felt horrible hearing many times about how much animals are suffering now. I'm not necessarily suggesting we have less exposure to the suffering, but maybe something to consider. Yeah, it's definitely, I'm kind of hearing from Rasa, like, you know, feeling, okay, we have to like stay at home and there's kind of these constraints that we have. And then we're hearing about, you know, animals are maybe suffering even more than they were before. And so that's just kind of this hard thing to balance. I don't know about posting the chat file in the event page, but maybe if someone has a specific question that they want us to uncover from the chat, you can email. You can email info@liberationconference.com. I just put it in the chat. So if you have a specific thing that you're asking for the chat to be saved, like, oh, I want to get this person's link to their Facebook or something, you can just email the email address that I just put in the chat, and I will find that for you. So someone is asking about people's pronouns being in their Zoom names, and you know, kind of why we do that. Like, I have she in my name, and we do that just so that we know which pronouns to refer to people by. So we have name, pronoun, and then if you'd like to put your location, it's just helpful so we can know how to refer to people. And it's cool to have the locations because sometimes you see someone who lives in the same city as you that you didn't know. So it's like this way to maybe connect with people who you don't already know. Stacy is asking how to become more active in their own town. I believe if you go to dxe.io/takeaction, on that page you can find a list of all the DXE chapters. And if your city is there, you can, I believe, sign up or something to be contacted by them. Maybe it'll link to their like Facebook page and different ways that you can get in touch. And then if there's not a DXE chapter in your city, on that page, you'll also be able to find out how you can go about setting one up or just getting more support to organize. Okay, so Corinne, I hope I'm saying your name right, is asking how to approach a local farm to ask to save an animal or two. Do you try to build a relationship first, pretend to be a potential customer? This is something that, you know, we could probably have like a training on. I don't know that I'll be able to explain everything right now about, you know, how to do this. And there's really not like a manual because it just depends so much on the situation. Some folks have been able to just negotiate with whoever owns a certain like facility or whatever that they're able to just negotiate with them and it's very calm. Other times the facility is completely unwilling to negotiate. Generally, I wouldn't advise anyone to pay for an animal to be released because the farmer or whoever it is will probably just be using that money to go and buy more animals, and it's kind of supporting the system. So, you know, I wouldn't offer them money or anything like that. But yeah, some people have had success by you know, building relationships with these places, and sometimes different facilities might, like, you know, on Easter, a slaughterhouse might like give one lamb to activists as kind of, you know, just a symbolic show of good faith, I guess. Is there a way to make an automatic calling line that contacts people who could play a role in ending animal suffering? I've seen this done for other causes where it calls one number after the next, allowing you to speak directly or leave messages. That sounds really cool. So you would call one number and it would just like keep directing you to the next person that you need to leave a message for. If somebody has the skills to design that, maybe you can also send us an email because yeah, we need more people to work on cool stuff like that. So if you know how to do that, you can send me an email. Tiffany, so I think this is kind of in response to what Rasa was saying a little bit earlier, just about feeling a little bit disheartened, I guess, seeing all the suffering that's happening and not really being able to do what we want to be able to do. And Tiffany says, I'm glad to know what's happening to animals because that's what I'm here for, is to be present. 1, to know what our species is doing, and 2, what we're doing about it, and 3, get inspired and reconnected to myself, what I care about and what I can do. That's a really good perspective to have, and just kind of remembering that it, sometimes it can feel helpless when we know so much, but I guess what Tiffany is saying is, knowing is kind of the first step, and just knowing that there are people out there who care about this and who want to take action, and so that's kind of a hopeful thing. Someone says, Cassie, no one could tell that you were nervous. No one would have known if you hadn't said anything, so that's good. Is there anyone who saves the chat to allow all the links in the email to attend fees to continue pressure for follow-up? Oh, okay. So I think Stacy is asking for us to maybe send out an email with like all of the different calls to action. We definitely save the chats, so we can try to pull some of those out and maybe include some of them in future emails. Someone is asking about the first rescue that we saw that happened in San Francisco. Like, how did the activists get the chicken? I'm not 100% sure because I wasn't there, but it appeared that they just took the chicken from that slaughterhouse. Cool. Well, final invitation to share any other feelings that people are having. And I think we're probably a small enough group now. If there's someone who does want to speak, you can write in the chat, or you can send a little star like this in the chat. And some people are saying they don't want Aloha to end. Me neither. And I think a lot of us can say the same. And we are continuing. We're planning on continuing this in some way. We're not 100% sure what that's going to look like yet, and that's why we want everyone to also take that survey that I mentioned, so we can know like what you really appreciated and what you enjoyed from this, and so we can, give you more. I think Curtis wants to speak, so I'm gonna unmute you, Curtis.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Joanna. I am advocating that everybody get on TikTok as soon as possible. It is still a relatively new platform, and it's very easy for things to go viral on there in short order. A lot of people know Hudson Tarlow, 18-year-old activist. He started on it like 6 months ago, and he has like 70,000 followers, and every one of his videos has hundreds and thousands of comments on it. Trey Morrow, another activist on the East Coast, he started on it a month ago. One of his videos has over 1 million views. It just happened to go viral because, like I said, it's a new platform. There's like a few hashtags that you put in your videos, and they get a ton of views. And if it gets a lot of comments in short order, TikTok will put it on, one of the main pages, and it's a lot of teenagers, 10, 11, 12-year-olds that see this stuff, so they put a lot of times trolling comments, but we all know how the algorithm works. Any comments are good comments, no matter if they're trolling or not. So I think that, obviously for like journalists and everything, Twitter is a better avenue to get, real people looking at the issues, but if we're trying to get the issue out to a lot of people, especially younger people that may take this to heart, TikTok could potentially be, bigger than Instagram at the rate that it's going. So that's.
Thanks for sharing, Curtis.
Yeah.
Yeah, TikTok is definitely a huge kind of up and coming thing, and I think that's like it gives us kind of an especially advantage when it's like just kind of blossoming, because it's like this getting on the ground floor, like you can be part of this group of people who are kind of founding the platform. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, all I have to say is don't start watching videos of people doing the shuffle on TikTok because you'll get lost and it'll be like the next day when you stop. That's what happened to me. Anyways, some folks in the comments were asking about Matt and just is he fundraising? Does he have bail? When's his court hearing and all of that? I do believe there's bail, but right now he's waiting it out in jail. A lot of folks do jail no bail to kind of put more pressure on the system and make a statement about we take these risks because we know what the risks are and we're doing this willingly because we want to bring attention to this cause. So Matt is staying in jail for now, but there is a fundraiser up on his page, and if there are like court dates or anything like that, I'm sure many of you are on a lot of the email lists that get updated about these things. And you can also friend Matt on Facebook. I just sent his link to his Facebook page in the chat, and I'm sure he'll be posting on there as well any updates about the case. I saw that Max wanted to say something, so maybe we could I'll unmute you, Max.
Yeah, hi Joanna. I'm here with Trev, my co-actors who organized today's vigil, and I just want to say, at least myself, I feel kind of helpless. We do a vigil, we capture footage. It's so hard we can't rescue them. They're so big and it's helpless. We show these videos to politicians, our provincial politicians. We sign letters, we make complaints to governing bodies, agencies, government agencies, and we just get a standard response back from the industry. It's this industry, everything is legal, and sometimes you feel so powerless to stop it. I hope this exposure is really helping the movements. It's just what I wanted to share, Joanna. Wish there was more we could do to save these animals.
Thanks, Max, and thanks, Trev, your co-organizer there, and to anyone else who participated today. Yeah, it can be kind of overwhelming at times, that feeling of helplessness, and something I think that continues to inspire me is just looking around at all of you and seeing, like, we're not gonna liberate every animal that's out there right now, but there's so many of us who care, and that's a step, like it's better than no one caring. And so just seeing how many people are determined and are willing to take risks and go out in the middle of a pandemic and continue to expose what's happening, that's something that I just kind of think about when I feel those hopeless moments. And also just thinking about all the animals who were saved today, and there were so many more that were left behind, but for every animal who was saved as a part of this action, their whole world is now changed. And so sometimes changing the world means trying to change the world around us, and sometimes it can just be changing the world for one individual, and that matters too. So thanks to you all and everyone who has taken action. And even if you have never directly liberated an animal with your own hands, you've been a part of animal rescue, and your support, sharing things on social media, donating, being a part of calls like this, offering emotional support to other people in the community, all of these things matter, and they all make the work that we're doing possible. I did see one other person who wanted to speak, Brad. Let's see if you're still here, Brad. Yes, Brad from Canada. We've got lots of Canadians on the call. I love when there's lots of Canadians because I'm Canadian. All right, Brad, can you speak?
I can, yeah.
Awesome.
So it's kind of just a quick question. About a year ago, I guess I was indirectly involved with a rescue of 3 sheep who were I don't even know what happened. I was at work and I got a phone call from I ran in the federal election, so I was a candidate, the Animal Protection Party of Canada. So it was a fellow candidate who actually called and, in a panic because there was these 3 animals in an open field without, access to water or shelter. And we ended up, sort of over the phone between the SPCA rep, we, I guess, negotiated the release of these 3 animals. But I guess my question, I don't know how to ask it without sounding critical, but so excuse me if I sound critical, because I'm not being critical, but my only concern is that, I guess the owner, for lack of a better term, stated that now he'll have to replace these animals. So I'm just wondering, like, how, like, is there like a like a sort of a level of education that needs to go along with open rescue, or is it just these animals in particular, they're sort of like they just had to get out of there by any means necessary. It was just it was a sad sight. They were walking around. They were tethered to a tire and were just they could just couldn't move. So I just it gives me hope. Like today's session gave me a lot of hope, because I just like lately it's been so hopeless. But when I think back to that day, I just think of like the emotions that we were all going through, and I see these animals all the time, and they're in such a better environment now. That being said, I think back to where they came from, and I just wonder, were they replaced, or was that just all talk, or what can we do to really push for the end of this, I guess.
Yeah, thanks. Wow, that was it's a kind of a loaded question. What can we do to push for the end of all of this? I mean, that's our whole work, and the whole theory of change that we believe in, trying to mobilize 3.5% of the population in nonviolent direct action, and taking direct action to kind of force this conversation that society is unwilling to have. But those are like really big things, and a lot of times they can feel like it's so far away. Like how are we going to get 3.5% of people to take action? Like we can't even get people to just stop calling animals it, or something like that. But I think something else is when we look at just social change in general, like it can happen so quickly. Within a matter of weeks or even days, it became normalized to wear a mask in public. And now it's like when you're not, there's this culture of like, oh, I'm not wearing my mask, I like feel bad. And that, I didn't feel that way a month ago. And now I feel this responsibility to the world around me that I should be wearing this mask. And so I think like that can also be a source of maybe inspiration, or something that can keep us going, is just remembering that it's not linear. It doesn't make sense sometimes. And sometimes we can't see the change happening until it's like happened. And then it's just overnight, suddenly now the world is completely different. And the thing you said about, like, I guess rescuing animals and then like farmers like they're going to just replace those animals kind of situation, like that I think is, it's true. And that's not really something that I guess the point of like open rescue and taking action in this way isn't to save every single animal. It's to bring attention to this issue and to kind of empower animals to be ambassadors for their own species, to, tell their stories. And so, yeah, we're not going to be able to take every animal like out of a barn or off of, someone's property where they're being neglected or something like that. But by being able to tell their stories, we can win other people over and, make this movement bigger, and their stories can touch more and more people. And I think something that I noticed in my own personal life, like when I first, kind of went vegan and started talking about this stuff, it was very abstract to a lot of my friends and family. Like they didn't really understand. But then when I started getting involved in activism and going to vigils and, being a part of Open Rescue and organizing actions myself, they saw it in a different way. And for some reason, I guess that's just part of who we are as humans. We're kind of this tribal, we have this tribal nature, and it's different to see footage of an animal, being tortured or being rescued when you know that your friend or someone was the one who was there. Like if it's, wow, my friend, like, got this animal out of a bad situation, or wow, those animals are being abused like right in front of my friend's eyes. For some reason that it resonates differently with a lot of people. And so I think just the more people who can be a part of Open Rescue and be a part of taking action for animals, your whole social circle after, it's gonna you're the only one who can reach those people. And so by you being involved in whatever way that you can be, it just means something different to the people who you're close to. All right, let's go back to the chat here. The Roses Law masks, yeah, I don't know where people can get those. It's possible that they made those masks, but I will double check, hopefully before we all get off this call. Brad Tiffany says that you're great. And she said, I know it can be hard to see, but it's just a matter of mental perspective. It's happening, and it's because of this work directly. Oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to say about your point, Brad, is I think there is more to, there's more that needs to happen than just open rescue. And winning over farmers is a huge part of what we need to do, because, we kind of, some people see them as like enemies, like, oh, they're our adversaries. They're the people who are, they're harming the animals we're trying to save. But they have so much like power in the system, and a lot of farmers, especially, industry, like people, the industry itself is really what we're against. But these farmers, they're just other people trying to do their best, trying to survive. And for a lot of them, this is kind of all they know. And I think it was last weekend, I'm losing track of the weeks here, we had Renee King-Sonnen from the Rancher Advocacy Program, and she joined the call, and she was telling us all about her work, basically outreaching to ranchers and farming families to try to convert them to plant farms and turn them vegan and get them, to understand this issue. And they've done that with at least one family that she talked about for sure. And, her husband used to be a rancher as well. So I think that supporting initiatives like that is also really helpful, because as much as we might be against the system that some people are involved in, we have to remember that there's people in the system too, not just the animals, but other humans. And, we should try to look out for them. And the more that we can do to build bridges with them, the more likely they are to cross them, Okay, let's see. Who else? If I missed you, if you put a star in the chat and you wanted to speak, just put it again. Okay, Jyoti, is that how I say your name? I'm gonna unmute you.
Hey, thank you so much for organizing this. Very inspiring. A couple of points I wanted to make is that, as you all know, the Black Lives Matter is protesting, and I was there at just an hour back in Jacksonville. I attended the protest, and I wore my vegan shirt, and I had a sign that says "Vegan for Ahmad" or "Vegan for Floyd" or "Vegan for Justice" or whatever sign you want to say, supporting and being an ally to that huge movement right now, which of course they're suffering and they want justice. So being an ally to them boosts our presence in that community. So we need to support them, and we also need to say that, hey, we stand for justice as vegans, and please join us too. And there were a couple of people who did mention, hey, I'm a vegetarian, or yeah, I totally agree with you, or said thanks for being here. So they acknowledged, and it was a great experience to support them and also promote veganism. Thank you. Over.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, just love hearing stories of people, being in solidarity with other movements as well. That's super important. And I know for myself, I've been really just feeling a lot of grief in the last couple of days, hearing about George Floyd and all the protests that have been happening. So it looks like the conversation is kind of winding down. Matt is saying that it's important to be an ally for other causes, but we have to do so in a way that doesn't come across as trying to co-opt their supporters or their cause. That's a really good point. I think there's a couple more people who wanted to speak before we jump off. So I'm gonna unmute Kimberly Richardson.
Hi there. Thanks for a great session today. Just a quick one. What's kind of helped me during the lockdown? When I go out for a walk, I take my chalks, and while people are drawing rainbows, I'm fighting animal liberation and stop factory farming. So, you know, chalk in the streets is something everybody's doing these days. So why not?
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think there's actually a group of people here in Berkeley who are going to be going out tonight to do some chalking together. And I know when I'm out walking around, I love seeing the messages that people have been chalking outside of their houses.
Me too. That's why I thought.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So that's a great tip. Thanks for sharing, Kimberly.
It's totally legal.
All right, and I know Mayura, I think I always say your name wrong, but one of these days I will get it. I'm going to unmute you because you wanted to speak as well.
Yeah, I know it was kind of brought up. I guess I'm just wondering because I noticed, or at least it seemed like there was a difference between the two open rescues that were live as opposed to the videoed, the ones that we saw videos of today. You know, the one in the Bay Area, they brought in paperwork and stuff and tried to speak to the person that owned it. And at least I thought it seems like the one that was in Orange County, they just came in and took the animals. So I guess I was wondering like what the two different advantages or disadvantages are for like doing those two different ways, and what was behind that thought.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know the details of like why those choices were specifically made for today, but I know in general about like these kinds of actions, a lot of times people will kind of do advance work and try to, notify the authorities or file complaints about animal cruelty or that kind of stuff. And then, when they go to do an action like this, if or when the police come, or just if they're kind of being told like, oh, you didn't go through the proper channels, this is why we have animal control, so you can report these things or that kind of thing, they can say like, we followed the process that we're supposed to follow, and nobody responded, and so it kind of forces us into this position where the only thing we can do is take this kind of action. So that is one of the reasons why people make that choice. There might be other things like, if you come with paperwork and you seem kind of more official, maybe they perceive you in a different way because it's like, oh, you look maybe more organized, and it's kind of a weird thing, but I'm sure that does go through people's heads as well. But I know one of the big things is, trying to kind of exhaust the other options first. So when you do this, it's like, it was what was necessary. It's the only option we had left. So we had to do this, even if it was maybe not allowed by the law or something like that. Did you want to say something back?
Yeah, I guess I was more saying like, I definitely get that perspective. It just seems like, I guess the Orange County one, they just went in and took an animal out and didn't try to speak to anyone there or show them paperwork or anything. So I guess I was just kind of curious between the two, like how someone would decide which angle to take. Just get in, because if they try to talk to someone, the person might not allow them to get past any further to rescue an animal. But I definitely see the perspective of exhausting it. So I just thought it was interesting, and I guess, I don't know, like I'm in New Jersey right now, and there are like 33 live markets. So my wheels are turning. I don't know which direction to go because I see those two options.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the choices would just have to do specifically with like the circumstances. So like you said, if it's a situation where if you start talking to someone, they're going to just close the door and you're not going to be able to kind of, accomplish the mission by rescuing someone or that kind of thing. Maybe the choice you make is to not do the whole like paperwork, thing. But maybe for other reasons, like, part of your legal defense or something like that, you might choose to have kind of some of that advanced work done. And if you are interested in, I would recommend speaking to someone more specifically about if you're planning an action like that, like what kinds of precautions, I guess, you might want to take, and definitely speaking to a lawyer as well. Based on lawyers' advice, they may advise one versus the other. So I'm sure there's a lot of things that go into that kind of thing.
Is there like a DXC resource that I can, or someone within DXC that I can talk to about this?
Yeah, if you fill out the dxc.io/CD survey, the civil disobedience survey, I believe, I don't know, it probably might not be today, but eventually someone will probably get in touch with you. I can message you, or for other people, you can email me and I can follow up and see like if there's other places that people can look. So I also just shared my email in the chat as well. Yep, I know that Rasa wanted to say something. So I'm gonna unmute you now, Rasa.
Thanks. So obviously I want us to be as effective as possible, and I share the sentiment of a couple of people who said that they still felt disempowered even though some individuals were rescued, and we shared the live stream and we got newspaper coverage for the work that Matt was doing and maybe for today's actions. But I wish that we could also do more maybe next time. So I was just thinking that whether the next type of ALC is online or in person, that perhaps we can also do some sort of political action. And maybe that's what kind of like what Paul has in mind for Rosa's Law. But I know that in the Bay Area, at least, we didn't really make it into political action last year. So I really hope for more political action. So just as an example, in US Senate and US House of Representatives, right now there's a bill that would ban all large factory farms by the year 2040. So I wish that we could somehow more directly support these bills, and perhaps that would make us also feel more empowered, because then we would be more directly working to end this horrendous industry. So I wish that in the next ALC we'll also have some sort of huge action, perhaps worldwide or at least in California, where we put more direct pressure on our political leaders to pass these laws and maybe pick some sort of law that's already in the works and rally behind it and show that there's a lot of grassroots support for it.
Thanks, Rasa. And yeah, I see at least one other person agreeing with you in the chat. So definitely a good perspective to elevate. Thanks for sharing. Justin, I've seen your star in the chat go by a few times, and I've accidentally it's gotten lost in my chat, and then other people have spoken. But anyways, we're gonna get to you now, Justin. So I asked to unmute you, and here's your chance to speak. Justin, it sounds like you're really quiet. So if you could maybe get closer to your microphone. I'm having a hard time hearing you. Still really quiet. Sorry. Okay. Let's see if there's any last questions in the chat. Justin, if you have like headphones or something, maybe you can try with headphones, like if you have a mic that you can move closer to your mouth or something. Justin would like for us to give a round of applause to Amanda. Yeah, that's a great, thank you. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, Amanda has been our ASL interpreter on these calls. Okay, hold on. We're gonna do this again. I'm gonna spotlight Amanda, and then we're all gonna give Amanda a round of applause. Thank you so much, Amanda. Yeah, Amanda has been our interpreter for many of these calls, and we're just so appreciative to have you. A lot of you know that this online assembly came when our Animal Liberation Conference was canceled, which is normally an in-person conference that we do in California. And over the years, we've had a lot of volunteers kind of helping out with ASL, but we've never really had the whole conference interpreted, so that it's not really been fully accessible. And Amanda originally was going to come to ALC this year and help make that possible for us. And when ALC was canceled, she still, followed through on that commitment, and she's been joining us on all these calls and making it possible for more people to be a part of them. So yeah, just a huge shout out to Amanda. And Justin is saying if you would like to be interviewed, or you know someone who would like to be interviewed, to email, and his email's there in the chat. Maybe you can let us know, Justin. What is it? Is it a podcast, or what are people being interviewed for? Health, impact, and activism. Is it like for a podcast though, or a YouTube show? podcast. Oh yes, YouTube Live and Facebook Live. Okay, cool. So yeah, if you want to be on Justin's podcast or Facebook, you can email him there. Well, it looks like we're kind of coming to the end for today. Oh, that's cool. Casey says they're a former ASL interpreter, and if Amanda, if you need help to connect on Facebook, that's really cool. I am going to also connect with you on Facebook, Casey, so that hopefully when we organize more of these in the future, Amanda doesn't have to do everything. I'm just copying her info out of the chat. All right, well, thank you all so much for sticking around and for being on this call. And it's just really great to see all of you. And it's kind of this weird nostalgia feeling when something is coming to an end that's been really great and you don't want it to end. But what's cool is that this isn't ending. So it's going to continue, and we're just not sure exactly how yet. But I know we'll see all of you very soon. And fill out the survey that I mentioned. I'll throw the link in the chat once more. dxc.io/Aloha survey, and just let us know what you enjoyed about these calls, what you want more of. If you have a cool idea that you're like, hey, in the future we should do this totally new thing that we didn't even do yet, we want to hear about it. So fill out the survey and let us know so that we can continue to kind of shape this online assembly into something amazing. Cool. Well, yeah, thank you all so much for joining, and I hope to see you all soon. And yeah, take care, stay well, stay safe, and just enjoy the rest of your weekend. And get on TikTok. Okay, bye everyone.